Just this week, Trump has already committed 5 more impeachable acts. Editors note the opinions in this article are the authors, as published by our content partner, and do not necessarily represent the views of MSN or Microsoft. At his rally last night, President Trump's characteristic threats of vengeance against his enemies took an especially chilling turn. There was treason. Trump initially returned to his prepared text, itself a creepily ethno-nationalist paean to his narrow electoral college win. You reclaimed your It is difficult to fully describe what Trump conveyed in this line without watching the. As Trump said, Trump's notion of a fair attorney general, as he has stated many times, is one who loyally protects the president's political interests. His frequent in a pre-Trumpian world, this sequence of events would set off a political crisis. In the surreal landscape, consider some of the events of recent days. Sunday, the same day, the reported Trump is preparing pardons for several American war criminals. Trump has long. Yesterday, The Washington reported that Michael Cohen told a closed House panel that Trump's lawyer, J. Sekulow, encouraged him to lie to Congress in 2017. Cohen has testified that Trump encouraged him to lie by repeating, in his characteristic mobster code, "There's no Russia," a cover story both men knew to be false. Trump, of course, Cohen. Trump better hope the new disclosure fleshes out more evidence that the president suborned perjury to conceal evidence that he was deeply compromised by Russia during the campaign. Also yesterday, former White House counsel Don McGahn refused to appear at a House hearing to testify to yet another serious presidential crime. According to the Mueller, Trump has publicly insisted none of this has happened, a denial that makes McGahn's testimony highly pertinent. There is no basis. What's more, Trump is backstopping his demand with financial blackmail. The reports that what cynics had waved off as Trump's cartoonish musings is slowly seeping its way into sanctioned government policy. The question of whether
raindrop, truck top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.